YouTube, this is Tired Metalhead Weatherman, video number 2 of the day going up. Hopefully you guys have had a good Labor Day weekend. Well, from here on, it's back to work, so hopefully you guys are ready for the grind. I know that I'm not. I'm spoiled this 3-day weekend, and I do not want to give it up, but hey, it is what it is. So onward we move. Another thing that moves onward as well as us after this weekend is the weather, and there's a little bit of interesting stuff going on. So we're going to do a weekly forecast here and cover all the details. So we'll start with the Storm Prediction Center, and there's really not much going on here. There's no severe area for today. There was a marginal risk right here, but nothing's really come of it. I don't even think there's been any severe reports from what I've seen. One hail report, and that's it. Not even worth batting an eye at, to be honest. So there's that, and then really the next 3 days, no severe, and then we'll look at days 4 through 8 just to make sure to see whether or not the potential is too low or if it's going to be predictability. I'm kind of leaning towards potential being too low, but we'll cross our T's and dot our I's here. But days 4, 5, 6, going over the wrong things here. But days 4 through 8, what do you know? Potential too low. No complaints there. May as well look at the fire danger too while we're at it. So we do have elevated areas for Monday and Tuesday, and then a critical area on Wednesday. We'll touch on that real quick. I'm not super knowledgeable when it comes to the fire risk. Mostly I'm familiar with dry thunderstorms and relative low humidities, mostly. That coupled with high winds tends to usually be key components to an elevated fire threat. For the most part around this area, from what I've seen here, the dew points are low. Usually relative humidity coincides with dew points. So usually if you're at about maybe 20% or about really 40% or lower on humidity, or have a dew point that's in the 30s or so, then you start to have an increased concern about fire weather. So here's our elevated threat for day 1. We go to day 2 after it loads, and then shifts a little back further to the north and west, mainly towards the mountainous regions of Oregon, far northern reaches of Nevada and California. We have an elevated threat. Pretty much the same deal. Low humidity, very dry air over that region. Not much rain. Just prone to a quick spark starting up problems. Excuse me. Go through days 3 through 8. Mainly just focused on day 3. It's a critical area, and of course, what do you know? It's over northern parts of Montana, where again humidities and dew points are expected to be low. And also we have a few areas where there's a few dry thunderstorms possible, so we always have to look out for those. Particularly, we're concerned about dry thunderstorms in this little brown outlined area that's got a little bit of a cloud look to it. That's where we got to be real careful. And then the areas outlined in the orange are elevated fire threats, and then the area outlined in the red is our critical. So we go to day 4. We don't have much of anything going on. Again, low relative humidities are going to be the main story with our fire threat, and days 6 through 8 are too low for I have predictability too low tags on them. So right now, there's no real categorical outlook for days 4 through 8, but we'll have to keep watching and see how things evolve. That being said, let's go ahead and look and see what kind of storm systems may try to work their way through the country in the week. I can't really draw it for you right now, but you can almost but even through this vorticity map, you can kind of see it. There's like a little jet stream pattern. You can kind of see this little divot right here. And then there's a subjet that's dipped a little bit further to the south, which has been causing more active weather down this way. So we're going to roll this forward and see how things move about. A lot of activity here. No majorly strong systems. Small pieces of energy at best. And then here's our tropical systems. Tropical Storm K out in the Pacific, making a close pass, maybe even potentially a landfall to the Cabo San Lucas area. May even bring impacts to Arizona and California. And then here is Tropical Storm, and then potentially later to be Hurricane Earl. We'll move this along here if my computer decides to go. Uh-oh. So I don't like using pivotal weather sometimes. My computer just does not handle it well, but as you can see here, there's not really much going on here. Towards the end of this run, though, you do see a little bit of a system kind of meandering about in the Gulf. Doesn't really look majorly organized, but this will definitely look to bring more inclement weather to the southeast. So we'll have to watch out for that. We'll go ahead and verify that a little bit more by switching over to the temperatures in the radar and kind of getting some form of correlation with that. Frozen again. Pivotal weather is giving me a really hard time right now. Okay, wait a minute. I got a little ahead of myself. Alright, so here we are. Temperature map. We're starting to warm back up just a little bit in the south and east, but all the rain and the cool air will be taking its toll and keeping the temperatures a little bit lower. Maybe towards the end of the week we start to pick back up in the temps. Well, it looks more than anything over towards the south and east that we're maintaining. And then over towards the southwest, unfortunately, we're still in the triple digits and 100 teens, maybe even a couple areas pushing 120. From the looks of it, we have just in the Sierra Valleys here, we're dealing with 114s and 116s, which is that's rough. That is some rough stuff. Okay. Alright. Come on, Pivotal. Alright, and then as we look over towards the Midwest, the central part of the U.S., we're also baking there, unfortunately. Temperatures look like they've dropped off just a little bit down there, maybe. Earlier this weekend, we were seeing triple digits. Now we're kind of pushing back down towards that 90-degree mark. I mean, it's better than nothing, I'll put it that way. Hopefully soon we can get a good pattern change here and everybody will get a good cool down. But with that being said, let's go ahead and go to the precipitation type. Let's see what kind of moisture we could be working with here, what kind of precip we could be dealing with here. Try to exit out a few of these screens to get this to move a little bit faster. Okay. Yeah, Pivotal is not working super well today, it looks like. Alright, here we are. Or are we here? Crappy joke, I know. Was worth a try. It was funny in my head, okay? But here's what we got going on. Going into Tuesday, we have our cutoff low moving off to the north and east, causing a little bit of rain and thunderstorms over there. Southeast has chance for pop-ups. And then we have rampant energy running around the Gulf, continuing to interact with our low here. And then interestingly enough, and I saw this on a model run earlier in the last video I did, where this low potentially could interact with Earl here. It kind of stalls out once we get a little bit further along into the week, especially as Earl strengthens. So we could very well see a very rare thing happen called the Fujiwara effect, where two tropical entities interact with one another and swirl about each other. And usually this will go on until the stronger of the two storm prevails and will ultimately combine. Does this turn into a super cane? No, it does not. That's not how the Fujiwara effect works. But it definitely is an interesting sight because it's very rare. So we'll roll this loop along, and then you can kind of see it. So you can kind of see it again. But you see how it goes off coast. It tries to start forming into something of a tropical entity, and then along comes Earl out on the far right side of the picture here. Will these two get close enough to interact? Time will only tell, but it's a very interesting scenario that could take place. All while in the meanwhile, we have, like I said, mainly the action will be to the south and east. There does look like there is an attempt for a low to try to pop up towards the northern plains here. And maybe on Friday we might have some thunderstorms and rain showers around the UP, around the UP of Michigan, maybe around Minnesota and Wisconsin as well. Hard to say as to whether or not this may go severe or not. I highly doubt it, given the dynamics right now for this time of year. It's kind of hard to overcome the deficit. We're lacking too much in one product and not having enough of another to overcome the parameters that we would need for storms to develop. Alright, so now we are going to take a look at where storms are most likely right now and where there could potentially be something like a marginal or slight risk issued, if any at all, this week. Things can quickly change though, so take this with a grain of salt. These are just more or less my thoughts and me making my best, like my most educated guess on what could happen. And as you can see, unless you're in Florida, I don't really see too much going on as far as storms, but if you look here over towards Thursday night into Friday, we might have to watch this area for potential storms to develop. Again, I do think the threat's relatively marginal, and the way this the look that this has to it kind of leans more towards damaging winds. I doubt there will be a big hail or tornado threat out of this, but again, we'll have to watch this real close and take this with a grain of salt. So the time that I would be most interested in there being any sort of dangerous weather would be on late to early, like early Friday morning, late Thursday night. But we'll get this timing nailed down more if this does happen within the next 48 hours, I would say. Alright, last thing we'll look at here is the quantitative precipitation. We'll get an idea of what this looks like towards the end of the run, kind of get an idea of where the heaviest rainfall will be. It shouldn't be too hard of a guess and too big of a surprise where this ends up being. Kind of leaning towards the mid-Atlantic, towards the northeast. What do you know? Look at that. I mean, it didn't take a rocket scientist to kind of figure out where the greatest totals would be. But we're mainly looking towards the Long Island area, over towards Connecticut, maybe even New Hampshire. We could get some pretty hefty rainfall. May even have to watch for a little bit of flooding up here. So we'll keep an eye out for that. But there are some areas that towards maybe the Delmarva, we get some pretty significant totals as well. So we'll have to watch all this real close. But main area of interest as far as heaviest rainfall will be the northeast. Don't be surprised though if we get some higher totals in the south and east, especially if you end up under one of these tropical-esque pop-up storms or showers. Because the rainfall rates with these will be tremendous, regardless of how long the duration is. Alright, so this is all I got for you on tonight's video. Should be up in a little bit. See what I'll probably make a video about the tropics tomorrow afternoon when I get off work. But until that next video comes, this has been Tyler Metalhead Weatherman. I will see you guys soon.